Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into one of the most talked about Thai boys love series of 2025.
My magic prophecy.
Exactly. If you are looking for a series that manages to blend that high-stakes life or death drama with a truly gentle, grounding romance, well, you found it.
For sure.
So our mission today is to really dig into the sources you provided and pull out the essentials. How did this show so successfully merge, an urban supernatural thriller with a rural healing retreat?
And why did that combination resonate so much? It's a
Yeah.
fascinating structure,
Yeah.
especially since it's an adaptation of the novel The Cards Tell Me It's You.
By Dawn.
Right. And what's critical here is the series' thematic core. It's not just a supernatural thriller and a romance. It's a really detailed exploration of fate versus choice versus absolute skepticism.
And that triangle of themes is really what sets the pace, isn't it?
It's everything.
And the entire engine of the show is this absolutely brilliant, almost antagonistic clash of personalities. On one side, we have Dr. Thapfah, played by Jitaraphol. He's a fiercely skeptical ICU doctor.
His entire world is just based on peer-reviewed science.
Logic or nothing. And then on the other side, you have Inthu, played by Tawinan.
The sweet, clairvoyant tarot reader who is, genuinely haunted by his gift.
And the fuse is lit in episode 1, right? Because Inthu looks at the cards and sees this guaranteed, life-threatening streak of misfortune.
And it's heading straight for the rationalist doctor. It's the perfect setup.
The perfect setup for their core conflict, science versus the supernatural.
Exactly.
So let's jump right into the psychological profiles. Thapfah, he's 32, a high-achieving physician.
Right. And his rationalist worldview is more than just professional rigidity.
It's an emotional fortress.
That's a critical distinction. The sources make it really clear his disdain for anything mystical or unproven is a deep-seated defense mechanism.
And it's rooted in past trauma.
Absolutely. Working in critical care, he needs absolute control.
Oh.
So rejecting all these chaotic, unseen, mystical explanations, it lets him maintain that.
But that rigidity is also his biggest weakness. It makes him stubborn.
Rash, even.
That does raise an interesting question, though. If he is so fiercely rational, wouldn't his impulsive decision to flee the city with Inthu later on, wouldn't that seem totally out of character?
You'd think so.
Doesn't it risk undermining his whole skeptical persona?
That's what makes the writing so smart.
Yeah.
When he finally does decide to run, it's not because he suddenly believes in tarot cards.
No.
It's because he believes in the threat, the evidence of the attacks, the near-death experiences. Those are tangible.
So he's still operating within a rational framework.
Exactly. Self-preservation. But he's also reacting impulsively because his control has been breached. He's vulnerable. He's running, but he's still trying to be protective.
Which is still an act of control for him.
Yes. Now compare that to Inthu. He's the younger one, 22, an orphan and a clairvoyant YouTuber who is just absolutely burdened by this immense survivor's guilt.
That guilt is the existential weight he carries.
It is. He saw visions of his parents' deaths, but he couldn't stop them. And that led to years of emotional isolation, of being doubted. It created a profoundly heavy emotional state.
So his desperate need to save Thapfah isn't just about being a good person.
No, not at all. It's a second chance. It's redemption. If he can save the doctor, he resolves that deep psychological wound of failing his parents.
And I think what the series did so well was making that internal weight visible. The frequent fainting is almost like a physical price tag on his clairvoyance.
Absolutely. It's not just some cute plot device. It's a literal physical manifestation of the sheer metabolic cost of carrying those traumatic visions.
He's paying a price for his gift.
A huge one. It just reinforces how exhausting his world is.
So the relationship develops as Thapfah slowly transitions from that, teasing, skeptic, always challenging, and
to someone who starts trusting his intuition.
Recognizing it as a genuine, deep form of care.
And the reverse is just as vital for Inthu's arc, for his healing. Thapfah is grounded, practical, a doctor. He's the ultimate symbol of rational care. So for the first time since his parents' deaths, Inthu allows himself to be cared for, to be anchored by Thapfah's practicality.
And that's a monumental step away from his isolation.
Huge.
So it's one thing to create these great damaged characters, but mapping this huge emotional weight onto just 10 episodes requires brilliant scaffolding.
It really does.
How did they structure that journey so effectively?
The structure is actually genius because it uses the tarot cards, which are, central to the plot, as the scaffolding itself.
Oh, okay.
The initial action is purely external threat. Episode 1 is titled Wheel of Fortune.
Which represents that uncontrollable cycle of fate that's just spun Thapfah into danger.
Exactly. He then survives several near-death experiences, which is episode 2, The Judgment.
Where his rational world is severely challenged and found wanting.
Right. And that leads to the necessary physical shift.
The escape.
Precisely. By episode 3, they make that impulsive decision to flee the danger and retreat to the remote Mahong Sun House.
Which is perfectly titled The Fool.
The Fool. That card signifies starting a new journey, taking an enormous, risky leap of faith into the unknown.
Which is exactly what the highly controlled doctor is doing.
Exactly.
That mountain house becomes so essential. Once they're isolated, the narrative threat shifts from, like, external assassins to internal, deep-seated trauma, right?
Completely. And this is where we see the structural function of the tropes.
Okay, let's talk about the tropes.
Let's start with forced cohabitation, a classic BL trope. It wasn't just there for romantic tension. It was structurally essential.
How so?
Because it cut Thapfah off from his rational life support system, the hospital, his job, the city. He had no choice but to start processing the information Inthu was giving him.
Forcing his own trauma to the surface.
Yes, and they leaned heavily into the other classics too.
Enemies to lovers, driven by that ideological clash.
The forced cohabitation we mentioned.
And of course, the grumpy sunshine dynamic, Thapfah and Inthu.
And those tropes work because they give the audience this immediate emotional shorthand. It lets the writer spend less time establishing the type of conflict and more time on the depth of the healing.
We see this beautifully in the symbolic scenes during their retreat.
Oh, absolutely.
I remember that scene in episode 4 so vividly.
Yes, the moment where Inthu carries Thapfah on his back after the doctor is injured. Fans immediately noted that it symbolized Inthu physically supporting Thapfah.
Helping him carry the heavy weight of his family burden, the expectations.
It's a beautifully written moment of shared burden, not just physical need. And this is also where we see the introduction of that key symbolism you mentioned.
The house itself.
Ah, yes, the house. Sources mention that Inthu was reluctant to fix broken items in the house. This wasn't just minor set dressing.
No, it felt significant.
It was a physical metaphor for his deep-seated, unreconciled grief. The house, untouched since his parents died, was a frozen landscape mirroring his trauma.
It couldn't be fixed until his emotional state was fixed.
You got it. That kind of mature, layered writing was the hallmark of the series.
Another strength was how it subverted classic BL tropes. I really appreciated the role reversal in episode 8.
The double, yes.
That was a pivotal episode for maturity. Thapfah is injured. His ex-boyfriend, Juan, shows up to donate blood.
And that naturally stirs up this intense jealousy in Inthu.
But instead of the usual dramatic misunderstanding or, a silly fight,
Thapfah, who is injured and vulnerable, ends up comforting a drunken Inthu.
they handle that complex emotion of jealousy with surprisingly healthy communication. It moves the series beyond just standard drama.
And that ties directly into the consistent fan praise about the relationship's maturity. It moved far past the standard chase relationships often seen in the genre.
People really picked up on that.
Oh, yeah. It was praised for its physical ease and closeness, the frequent natural lap-sitting, the effortless cheek kissing. It suggested a long-term, mature relationship that felt lived in and comfortable.
Not rushed or virginal.
Not at all.
That emotional maturity helped carry the audience through to the end, but they still had to resolve the external mystery that started everything.
Which brings us back to the thematic resolution. The big reveal in episode 9, The Moon, is essential. They learn the prophecy wasn't some external cosmic decree.
It was manufactured by human intent.
Right. The antagonist is revealed to be Dr. Karn, Thapfah's colleague, motivated purely by envy and greed.
Working with the figure Cassides, that's a huge insight that I don't think was fully explored in the initial reaction. Why is grounding the danger in human malice, envy, and greed such a significant move?
It elevates the stakes beyond the typical. By taking fate out of the equation and focusing on professional jealousy, the series makes the threat feel grounded and believable for Thapfah the skeptic.
I see.
It transforms the show from a simple supernatural rescue story into an urban thriller about betrayal. It says the real dangers aren't the things you can't see, but the malice you refuse to see right next to you.
So moving into the reception, fans absolutely adored this. It was frequently labeled a comfort show.
It really was.
What truly elevated it in the eyes of the audience?
Chemistry, first and foremost. Fans praise the unmatched natural synergy between Jimmy and C. Their dynamic felt like a mature marriage.
A significant evolution from their previous work together.
Effortless and established. And we can't skip that unique layer of authenticity that heightened the thematic conflict.
The fact that the actor playing the doctor, Jitaraphol, is a real-life dermatologist.
That meta detail was incredible for world building. Fans credited him for the realistic medical accuracy in the hospital scenes.
And that authenticity made Thapfah's rational scientific world feel so credible and robust.
That the introduction of the supernatural felt like a genuine, impactful violation of reality. It raised the stakes even higher. You believe in his scientific fortress, so you understand the terror when it starts crumbling.
And emotionally, the healing moments just landed perfectly. That finale scene in episode 10.
At the grave.
Yeah, where Thapfah goes to Inthu's parents' grave and makes promises to them. That's the moment the sources highlight as resolving Inthu's deep-seated survivor's guilt.
It sealed his emotional arc. He finally had external validation and a partner who honored his trauma. It completed the healing that started back in the Mahon Sun House.
But as always, no series is perfect, and this one had a few crucial points of contention.
A few critiques, for sure.
Given the widespread positive reception, where did the story falter for some viewers?
The most widespread criticism by far centered on the emotional closure versus the plotting logic in the finale.
Specifically, the antagonist's treatment.
Exactly. Reviewers called Thapfah's immediate forgiveness of Dr. Karn nonsensical and unrealistic.
That's a fascinating tension. Why did the forgiveness feel so unbelievable, even in a drama that already asks you to accept visions and fate?
The issue is consistency and consequences. Karn had deliberately and repeatedly tried to murder Thapfah.
Right.
Critics argued that for a rational ICU doctor, simply cutting the colleague out of his life would have been believable. But granting swift, emotional forgiveness?
It violated the logical consequence the thriller genre demands.
Yes. It seems the rating prioritized the emotional need for a wholesome finale, which often includes forgiveness, over the grim realism of the crimes committed.
So the desire for a warm, redemptive ending clashed directly with the hard reality of human malice they had just established.
That's it, exactly. Beyond that major point, there were some structural critiques. Some viewers felt the 10-episode length forced the story to feel slow during the rural retreat.
And then rushed the climax.
Right. And others felt the early episodes relied a bit too heavily on generic, silly fights before the relationship really deepened.
And what about minor grips?
Reviewers noted some issues, like the secondary romance between the detective and the other doctor being significantly underdeveloped.
Almost serving as filler.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Also, some viewers found the background music excessive or distracting during highly emotional scenes, sometimes undercutting the raw acting.
Still, the finale offered powerful moments of healing that went beyond the central couple. I'm thinking specifically of the family resolution for Thapfah.
That was truly rare and significant in a BL drama. The finale included the resolution of Thapfah's familial trauma, where his father actually apologized for his strictness.
His high expectations.
Yeah. That kind of healthy, explicit communication and reconciliation is such a powerful and necessary moment. It validates the doctor's struggle.
And finally, the moment that absolutely broke the internet and cemented the show's reputation as a fan-favorite comfort series.
The viral meta ending.
We should probably define this for those who may not follow niche dramas.
Right. A meta ending is a deliberate breaking of the fourth wall, where the line between the fictional characters and the real actors blurs. It's often highly specific fan service.
And in My Magic Prophecy, it was a 13-minute post-credit interview scene.
In the finale, yeah.
So what made this specific meta ending so effective?
It provided crucial emotional confirmation. The entire series was about the comfortable, mature, lived-in dynamic of Thapfah and Inthu. This unscripted scene allowed fans to see the actors' comfortable off-screen dynamic.
Featuring massively popular moments like Jimmy casually sitting in C's lap.
Exactly. It confirmed that mature marriage chemistry fans had been feeling. It made the relationship feel grounded in reality, even though the story involved visions.
So, if we step back and summarize the ultimate thematic takeaway, what does My Magic Prophecy suggest about that foundational conflict? Science versus the supernatural.
I think it suggests that while visions and fate might exist, Enthu's gifts were real and they set the plot in motion, it is human agency and conscious choice that ultimately changed the outcome. Thapfah chose to trust Inthu, not the cards. And that practical choice, that powerful connection, is what saved his life and led to their mutual healing.
Their wholesome resolution.
In the end, the greatest magic wasn't the prophecy. It was the trust built between two people.
A great conclusion to a story of both terror and devotion. And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought, building on our analysis of setting and trauma. Earlier, we discussed Inthu's house in My Hong Son the House, where he refused to fix broken items. We interpreted that as a physical metaphor for his deep-seated, unreconciled grief.
Right.
Given that the series ends with him finding absolute closure, peace, and a commitment from Thapfah, consider this. What does it say about Inthu's complete psychological arc that the series concludes not with him having fixed the physical house, but with him finally having found a safe, permanent home within his relationship?
Interesting.
Does finding emotional safety override the need for physical repair? We'll leave you to consider how profoundly setting reflects a character's internal state until our next deep dive.
Thanks so much for watching.